Chapter 19. Vant dove into his satchel, drew out a flare gun, and fired a shot through the Corpobot axis in the roof. He slapped on Death's mask and activated his whip gauntlets.
Deceiver!
Came the voice of the immortal overlord. The Thalium soldiers charged. Vant loosed his whips and toggled on the weapon's upgrades. Lightning spilled from the gauntlet's knuckles and crackled down the lashes. He whipped a soldier across the face and another across the chest. Blue arcs blasted over their armor and engulfed them in a storm of electricity. They crumbled to the floor, convulsing in overload. Another soldier lunged. Vant sidestepped and whipped it around the torso, sending thousands of amps into its thallium frame. It thrashed from the electrical reaction as its insides cooked. Vant tightened the slack and flung it into the remaining soldiers. They collided, creating an explosion of kinetic discharge. Vant blinked at the sizzling pileup of armor, then looked at his weapons.
Not bad,
he said.
Who am I kidding? That was stellar.
Foolish terrorist! What do you hope to gain from this outburst?
You're overdue for an appointment with my boss.
I control an army with my will. You dare stand against me?
I've stood against worse.
Within the armory, dangling hoses spurted liquid into the headless exosuits. Once a suit was full, an immortal dropped like a bowel movement into the neck hole. A robotic arm then bonded the helmet to its armor, and the newly functioning soldier sprinted into the foundry. 7 approached fast.
I gotta preserve my energy.
Vant thought.
Have to stay alive as long as I can.
He latched his whips to a hunk of assembly equipment and pulled tight. The gauntlet thrusters roared as the gear bent, buckled, then snapped. The pylon flew overhead and careened into the soldiers. It was a solid move, but the situation was dire, and it had only begun. 10 more soldiers replaced the fallen ones. Batons slid out from their wrists as they streamed into the foundry. Vant eviscerated 2 with electrified lashes, but the other 8 closed the gap. His whips were useless at close range. He zipped them back into the gauntlets and blocked the soldiers' baton swings. He jabbed the helmet of one and dented another with an uppercut, but one from behind got a fist full of cloak. Vant tumbled to the ground. From the floor, he defended himself with iron fists as batons struck out from every direction. They ignited on his knuckles with vaporous discharge. One arm pinned, but Vant kept fighting. 2 arms pinned, then his legs. He thrashed with defiance. A thallium boot pressed down on his chest, securing him. A soldier's arm cocked back, raising a baton.
It's time to put that rat in a cage. Forever.
An explosion rocked the fortress. The environment shook. The thallium soldiers halted, confused. The smoke cleared, revealing a hole in the fortress wall. And in the center of the breach was a man. He shouted,
"Fuck flies are about to die!"
Rantula tore into the fortress, a smoking bazooka in one hand and a 4-sided axe in the other. His tribe of nomad hunters followed after him, stampeding into the foundry. They unloaded automatic weapons on the soldiers surrounding Vant. Their shots punctured thallium armor, and water, like crystal blood, leaked from the bullet holes.
"Eat that dick! Eat that dick!"
Rantula growled from his scarred face. Swings of his axe gashed the helmets of the last remaining soldiers and pulverized the tiny immortals inside. The foundry was secure. Vant leapt up and bolted toward the armory.
"What the shit? Where's my thank you?"
Give me a second.
Vant got to the other end of the room and whipped the cargo door. He pulled hard, sliding it manually downward.
Hold him off!
Rantula relayed the order to his tribe, and they opened fire on the thallium soldiers behind the door. A guttural wail came from Vant's lungs as he drove the gauntlet's thrusters and his muscles to their limits. The gate moved inch by inch as more and more soldiers fell to the nomad's weapons.
Fuck's about to come through! Hurry that skinny ass!
A final tug and the door sealed. A handful of soldiers slammed into it from the other side. Vant struck the door's control panel with his electrified whips, short-circuiting it.
That should buy us some time,
he said, sprinting toward Rantula. The chieftain slapped his hands on Vant's shoulders and smiled, showing off his blotchy teeth. Then he headbutted Vant.
Good to see you, smart face.
Vant shook off the affectionate greeting as Rantula added,
Got a message for you. From General Grammy.
General Grammy?
He says you know where my stolen spiders be. Where my people at?
Vant had been right. The thallium helmet Grammy had stolen from the Nomad stockpile hinted at Rantula's past. He had, in fact, seen this army years ago. They were the ones who hijacked his tribe.
They're here. You fight with me, you'll get them back.
I'll fight with you. I'll squash with undead warrior who comes back to life. But first, how you did that trick? I killed you dead, but here you are, with your balls and everything.
He bluffed a grab at Vant's crotch. Vant covered up. The tribe guffawed.
Spider! We got shit coming! Listen!
Said Rantula's wiry huntress, Widow. There was commotion behind the cargo door. Using the inky infrared of Death's mask, Vant peered into the armory. Grips of soldiers beat against the door, and even more were coming online.
More of those things are on the way. Every second we wait means more we'll have to deal with.
Can I help?
A voice came from outside the hole in the fortress wall.
Ho there, Vantule.
Sami Fram!
The kind-eyed civilian entered the foundry. He walked slowly, weighed down by a repurposed land escape turret strapped to his body, along with a backpack of ammunition. Vant pulled off Death's mask and sprinted toward him.
Many thanks for saving my wife.
That's the least I could do.
One thing, though, and not that I'm complaining, I'm very, very appreciative, but see, Lam can't remember me and she thinks you're her husband?
Oh,
Vant punched Sami collegially in the arm. He buckled from the force of the iron glove.
I'm sorry, friend. Had to borrow your name. It's a long story, but don't worry. She'll remember you soon enough.
Sami smiled.
I've got a present for you.
He strapped a wrist communicator to Vant's gauntlet.
Van here, come in.
Vant, my cherished companion! So greatly good to hear your voice!
Well, if it isn't General Grammy.
How do you like your army of ferocious fighting nomads? You winning the war down there, or what?
We need more men. Come on in, the water's warm.
What a generous invitation. Though I must politely decline, I'm quite satisfied watching from afar, protected by my loyal band of land escapers. After all, we can't allow anything bad to happen to our general, now can we?
How many troops are with you?
40 and a half, if you count W. 40 of Land Escape's finest.
Vant heard them cheer at Grammy's words. He was a natural. But a natural what?
I also have 20 folks here for support and medical assistance, but they're not fighters.
Send in the infantry. All 40.
10 are my personal bodyguards. I can't spare them. They stay put.
There was no time to argue.
Send in 30, but if I call for others, you damn well better oblige.
No promises. I mean, what's the point of a battle if no one's alive to profit from it? Good luck, my cherished. Win us some spoils.
The Land Escape reinforcements entered the foundry. 3 more, like Sami, were outfitted as walking turrets. Vant recognized Gino, an ally crucial to the rebuilding of Land Escape, Lyra, who had assisted Skii with the bank break-in, and several other familiar faces. The nomads traded out the civilians' pistols for burly assault weapons, safeties toggled off. The pounding of the door continued. Every thud on the barrier caused a fearful twitch in the Land Escape troops, who were virgins to battle. The firearms quivered in their hands. Vant ordered,
Turrets! You're in the corners for support fire only. Crossfire is your deadliest enemy. You kill one of our own, and I'll kill you myself. Land escapers, you're in the back. You form a wedge of protection. That's our safe zone for escape cover.
There was no part of Vant that would allow himself to stand anywhere but on the front lines. He took point and commanded.
Spiders, fall into diagonal formation behind me. Bolt rifles in the front to stun them. Assault weapons in the back to shred them.
The nomad hunters formed a line, staggering themselves and training their barrels at the cargo door.
Check your sights. Shoot straight. Rantula, you're up here with me.
Where the fuck you think I was gonna be?
He and Widow joined Vant at the head of the pack. The immortal overlord spoke.
Like a virus, you have multiplied. I now address the new arrivals. If you seek death, then resist. I shall use your bodies as nutrition. If you seek life, then submit. And I shall grant you the peace that comes from eternal subservience.
The voice rattled the already nervous troops. One of the Land Escapers panicked and fled. Vant had to boost morale before he lost any others. He looked at them. These people who had come to support him, to fight with him, and to follow his lead. For the first time in centuries, Vant found himself leading an army, and he wanted a fierce one. It was time for the battle speech. He looked at his troops. They looked at him. He cleared his throat and said,
Pile 'em up!
The troops cheered.
Damn good speech!
The door caved in. Thalium soldiers poured into the foundry. Vant dealt overhand strikes from his lightning-charged whips. Rantula hacked away at anything metal. Widow threw razor-like daggers with terrifying accuracy into helmets. The infantry held their triggers down and pelted the soldiers with artillery. Bolt rifles electrified conductive armor, and bullets ate away at their casings. But the Thalium soldiers were tough. Damn tough. They pressed hard against the onslaught and broke off to the sides to avoid direct fire, converging upon the troops on the front lines. Vant threw himself into a skirmish, parrying baton attacks to protect 3 overrun nomads. 2 of them scrambled to safety, but the third, a lunatic with a death wish, fought back. He unholstered a hand cannon and unloaded shots at point-blank range into Thalium helmets, creating liquid eruptions where their faces should have been. The nomad took out 4 soldiers, but the remaining 2 landed baton strikes, caving in his skull and breaking his back. Vant retaliated. His punch broke the arm off a suit of armor, emptying it of its fluid. A second blow crushed another soldier's helmet. He heard a tiny immortal's death rattle from inside the casing. A turret fired, and bullets whizzed past Vant's head. They cut holes through a soldier who had snuck into his perimeter. The suit of armor collapsed. Vant waved thanks to Sami, who saluted back. Vant scanned the battle. Close to 30 Thalium soldiers were down. 40 were fighting in the foundry. 50 more were coming online in the armory. Their activation rates were far surpassing the speed at which Vant and his forces could take them out.
Spiders! Pull your weapons from the door and concentrate on the hostiles inside. Turrets! Relocate to protect the wedge.
The troops shifted positions, falling back. Most made it to safety, but several fell to batons. Rantula pulled his axe from the leaking chest of a soldier and pointed it at Vant.
Zombie fuck! Make a plan or die!
Vant shoved the axe away from his face.
That is not helping. I have to go through the armory. There's a room on the other side where these things live. I have to shut them down at the source.
Get gone! Squash your flies!
But Vant had no way to reach the liquid highways. Thalium soldiers kept piling into the foundry, and even more were on the way within the armory. Vant strained his brain for ideas. Nothing came to mind. Not a damn thing. 20 soldiers charged. The turrets gave them everything they had, but the opposition was too great. After 2 impacted nomad heads and a land escaper's snapped spine, Vant was in a fistfight with 10 foes. He acted with pure instinct, letting his combat training take over. He felt his energy slipping away. The breath in his lungs thinned. His strikes became slower, weaker. A soldier grabbed him from behind, locking up his arms. Vant lifted his legs and kicked an incoming foe in the chest. He pointed his gauntlets down, activated the thrusters, and let go. They launched into the grappler's feet, flattening them. Water emptied from the spilt metal. The soldier released its grip and collapsed. Vant slipped the gauntlets back on as 3 batons flew at him. He raised his weapons to defend, blocking all but one, which clobbered his chest and laid him out. Desperate, he risked electrocution by swinging a whip in a circle over his head. The lashes struck Thalium and the soldiers fell. Vant tried to recover the wind knocked out of him as he surveyed the blurry battlefield. 5 of the armored demons converged on an outnumbered nomad and pulled his body apart. A land escape woman dove in to protect an ally and got her face bashed in. Gino unloaded a hailstorm of bullets into an enemy wrapped around his waist as 2 more approached from the rear. A metal boot crushed the head of a fallen nomad. 1 room over, a stream of immortals dropped from tubes into armor. Hopeless. Totally hopeless. But then,
What the crap and butt's going on here?
a blur of blue and copper dropped from the Corporobot canopy into the center of the skirmish.
Skii!
Vant sprinted to her, dodging several soldiers. He shoved her behind cover as a nomad tossed a grenade. It detonated, sending shrapnel flying. Vant hugged her. She flicked him in the forehead of the mask.
Cut that out, creepy face.
Rantula noticed them sharing a moment.
Fuck a hello! Real man fucks a girl hello!
They ignored him.
It's good to see you, kid.
Yeah, you too, Pops. What a mess.
We're overrun,
A flying baton nailed a land escaper in the neck, laying him out.
and we're outmatched. We need to regroup.
I've got friends on the way. We just gotta sit tight. Plus,
She cocked her shotgun.
Cassidy's hungry.
She fired a burst of energy under her feet to launch into the air. Mid-arc, she cocked the gun several more times to charge it, and landed a few feet from the collapsed cargo door leading to the armory. Repulsor blasts shockwaved from Cassidy into the soldiers. Their armor splintered at the seams and slammed into the walls and floor.
Here's your problem.
She shouted so Rantula could overhear.
You brought a spider to the fight, and what you needed was a bear.
Handfuls of soldiers replaced those fallen, but Cassidy's discharges toppled groups at a time. They kept coming, but Skii kept dishing out punishment. Vant latched onto an overhang above the door and pulled himself below it.
Skii!
She used Cassidy to boost herself upward. Vant whipped her around the midsection and dangled her above the threshold. As the soldiers entered the foundry, she fired blasts straight down, flattening them with direct impacts. Over and over they filed in. Over and over she crushed them into a mess of debris, liquid, and chunks of dead immortal. The counterattack bought enough time for Rantula's hunters to secure the foundry. They cheered for Skii. Vant looked into the armory. He flung Skii away from the door, put himself in front of her, and shouted to the others.
Get down! Take cover!
100 newly activated soldiers fired batons at the wall that separated the armory from the foundry. The combined steam-powered explosions crumbled the divider. Now, with plenty of room to enter, they stormed into the foundry while another 50 came online and took aim with their batons.
Skii?
On it! Time to growl, Cassidy.
Skii held down the shotgun slider. A blue glow appeared on the barrel, along with an ascending charge sound. She squeezed the trigger. A burst of sapphire energy encapsulated Vant and Skii as a hailstorm of batons flew into the foundry. Several exploded on the repulsor shield, but many more tagged the human fighters behind them. Skii shouted into her wrist communicator.
Where's my damn backup? We need you now.
Cassidy's shield began sputtering out.
Now, 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 now!
A voice from the other end said,
Don't get your panties in a pinch, little lady. You'll get a rash. Here comes the cavalry. Phew, phew, phew.
10 mechanical beasts careened into the foundry from the hole in the fortress wall. Metal clashed with thallium as the peacekeepers, led by the mayor of Crashtown, blitzed the army. Their robotic arms swatted at the soldiers, and their shoulder-mounted cannons spat armor-piercing bullets.
You did it, Skii! You actually did it!
Damn right I did.
The shrill racket of metal thrashing metal was so overpowering that Vant had to yell into his comm.
Well, if it isn't the mayor himself.
Right, my boy. You still dumping shit on every township you come across, I see.
I never thought I'd say these words, but damn, is it good to see you.
Well, here we are. Me and the peacekeepers are loaded up on uppers and we're ready for a thrashing. My picker's getting slurped on as we speak, just to keep my nerves nice and calm. Now, quick here, you happen to go rescue your folks. These little gnats just met a couple big old fly swatters.
The mayor scooped up 3 soldiers in each fist and clenched, spraying water and chunks of immortal into the air. He winged the lifeless thallium suits into the armory, smashing a dozen more. Vant gazed downward, using the power of the mask. 1,000 land escape and nomad prisoners were beneath his feet, but he had no idea how to get to them.
Mayor, I need a way into the catacombs below.
The mayor sprinted to Vant's position and unloaded artillery into the ground. The bullets created a dent, then a crater, then a hole. Skii shoved Vant out of the way.
Ladies first, Pops. Always ladies first.
She hopped in, using Cassidy to slow her descent.
Hold this.
Vance said to the mayor as he'd wrapped a whip around the robot's finger. He loosened the slack to lower himself down. The mayor let go when Vant hit the end of the coil. He landed on his ass. Skii tittered at his misfortune and helped him up. Her laughter was cut short once they took in their surroundings. Rows upon rows of naked, hairless hostages were submerged in a water tank, a massive liquid prison. Harnesses held the prisoners stationary, and goggles and breathing apparatuses were fastened to their faces. The captives were mid-assimilation into the Overlord's consciousness and into the process of adapting to the underwater conditions. Yet they were still them. Death's mask revealed their true nature: innocent, non-corrupted, and resisting forced indoctrination.
Look,
Skii pointed to a massive container that funneled into a grinder. Within the receptacle was a mixture of flesh, human corpses, fish, animals, and most likely the remains of the land escape graveyard sucked up during the raid. The top layer of people, naked, soiled, and intertwined, appeared to be alive. Barely. Vant drew the conclusion that the live subjects were those the Immortals deemed rejects for whatever reason. Inferior specimens? Or perhaps they were superior, so much so that they outright rejected assimilation. The grinder led into a churning soup of biological matter. The processed concoction fed into the pipelines.
Nutrients for the Immortals.
you really know how to sniff out the horrendous, don't you, Pops?
Vant peered through the mask at the innocents in captivity, their life forces flowing naturally, harmlessly. He then glanced up toward the battle, witnessing the mess of chaos and violence, spasming like manic fireworks. The Immortals were so corrupt and committed to their way of life that they had inflicted their will upon others. The Overlord was brainwashing them, stripping them of their humanity, using them, and grinding up the rejects to be used as food. All for one reason: to keep on ticking, no matter what the cost. Vant looked into the farthest reaches of the basement and identified the mammoth-sized hose that had been used to suck up the citizens of Land Escape and the nomads before it. It would most certainly be used again if the Overlord were allowed to continue the quest for planetary domination.
Over here.
Skii fiddled with a hydrant.
Help me with this.
Vant snapped to. He pummeled the regulator with a gauntlet, and the water level of the tank began dropping. From his wristcom, the mayor shouted,
Vant, get your ass up here. We got a situation, son.
Skii, it's up to you. You gotta get these people out.
There's 1,000 of them, maybe more. How?
Vant spoke into his comm.
Graham, are you there?
Here?
Don't argue with me. Send in the 10 reinforcements to help Skii with the evac.
But they're my personal bodyguards. If you take them, I'll be alone. Then who will laugh at all my jokes?
Grammy, if you don't send them in right now, I swear to God, when all this is over, I'm giving Death a freebie.
A pause.
You drive a hard bargain, comrade. They're on their way.
You tell them to go straight to the catacombs. Sami, you there?
Here, Vant.
Guard the hole for incoming troops. Move any active turrets to that position.
Right.
To Skii.
I'm out of here. You got this? Once they're out of the water, you have to wake them up. Pull off their breathers and goggles. They're gonna be disoriented.
Just get upstairs and finish those monsters off.
On it.
Sami and Gina were damaged, ravaged, and soaked with crystalline blood. Yet they'd relocated their turrets and laid down a covering fire for the reinforcements sliding down a rope into the catacombs. Vant climbed back up and returned to the battlefield. The situation was horrid. 2 peacekeepers had been taken out, overrun by Thalium soldiers. The nomads and land escapers were halved in numbers. Vant's army was scrambling for survival.
If you got a plan, son, now's the time.
The mayor barked at Vant over his own gunfire.
You gotta get me in the armory. They have no defenses in there. They're gonna be easy pickings.
Hold
The mayor called out to one of his flock.
You want to go for a stroll? Shit, yeah.
Vant turned, recognizing a droopy-faced nomad from his encounter with Ranchula's tribe outside of Crashtown.
Shavius, you got any grenades?
2 left. Make 'em count.
He handed the orbs to Vant, who pocketed them in his cloak.
Mayor, you ready?
Ready as a cleany weenie in the whorehouse.
The peacekeepers rushed full tilt into the armory. Vant trailed the metal beasts as they steamrolled through a tidal wave of thallium. Running with their robotic heads down, they threw arms and elbows at every soldier in their way. Vant stole a glance over his shoulder. Near 100 soldiers were on his ass. He increased his speed as armor flew above him, around him, and to the sides from the peacekeepers' avalanche-like charge. They reached the end of the armory. The mayor and Hoss barreled through the cargo door and about-faced to fight off the impending forces. But the Thalium soldiers disengaged once Vant and his squad hit the room. They turned their attention back to the foundry.
What the heck? How do you know they do that?
I didn't.
Holy guacamole!
The mayor bellowed at the sight of the immortals floating in the glass pipelines.
Oh, ugly sounding bitches. I know I ain't much to look at, but these little goobers take the cake.
Hoss, from his remote cockpit hundreds of miles away in Crashtown, spoke to someone else in the room with him.
No, honey, it ain't you. You're doing fine. These disgusting grubs just make my constitution soft, that's all.
Every goggled eye was upon them.
They're looking at us, Matt.
The mayor whispered.
Oh, creepy. Oh.
If stairs are their only line of defense, we're in good shape. Let's take them down.
All lingering doubts about committing mass genocide disappeared when, through Death's mask, Vance saw the turbulent red shapes of the immortals. These were not people. They were too far gone. They were violent, they were indoctrinated, and they were corrupt. Each and every one had been marked for elimination by death. Vant charged his gauntlets and cocked his arm back. The mayor and Hoss spun the barrels of their Gatling guns and took aim.
Your forces are all but destroyed. I suppose I should thank you for bringing them to me. They will provide me with excellent nutrition. And as for you, Vance...
There was a strange hiss, the sound of water traveling through a contained space. The black rubber tubes that ran across the floor were expanding, filling.
It will be easier to study you in pieces. You squirm too much.
The hoses broke loose and shot upright, twisting like snakes. Their nozzles aimed at Vant and the peacekeepers.
Oh, hell.
Vant dove away from the rubber serpents. They spat pressurized streams of acid. The beams of liquid exploded into clouds of mist on the wall behind him, leaving seared, wet holes. The goggled eyes of the immortals continued to track him. The mayor and Hoss tried to flee, but they had nowhere to go. Acid blasted the machines. Chunks of metal dislodged, circuitry melted, and both robots collapsed into malfunctioning heaps.
Oh, son of an ass pickle! I'm done for!
Shit on a shitter, so am I!
Dodging to escape a close call put Vant face to face with the gleaming nozzle of a writhing hose. It spat as he flung himself behind the collapsed shell of the mare, taking cover. The snakes congregated and spewed liquid ammunition at the wreckage. The mayor's voice crackled through the speaker in the peacekeeper's broken head.
Oh, I'm toast, little buddy. I can't hang on no longer. Oh, it's so cold. This is the end. Every great mayor of Crashtown.
Wait a minute, how can you die? You're hundreds of miles away.
Oh, shit, you're right. Yammer.
The mayor laughed at his own prank.
Oh, guess I'll just have to pull one out of my backup machines out from stores and get out of here and finish the job. Mayor's sounding off. I thought it may be done, but my cockle's ready for fun.
Vant knocked twice on the mayor's busted head to confirm completion of the conversation. The snake-like hoses dripped acid. Vant needed reinforcements. He was pinned down, trapped.
Skii?
He yelled into his wrist comm.
Yeah, kinda busy at the moment.
Rantula, come in. Sami! Gino! Anybody!
He was answered only by the sounds of battle. He was out of options.
Wait.
Vant thought.
No, I'm not. There's one left. Grammy, you read me?
Here, comrade.
I need our remaining half a man.
A pause.
He's no soldier. He doesn't know where he is most of the time. He's currently snorting ants.
Shit.
An acid spike drilled through Vant's metal protection and sliced a gash in his side. His nerves hollered out from the sting.
Listen to me, damn you. You send him in the front door.
But...
Do it!
Okay, he's on his way. This is on you. I take no responsibility for the consequences.
Vant abandoned his fortification and rushed through the Immortal's environment, winding around the glass pipeline. The snakes hissed steam and spat acid at him. Liquid projectiles burst at his feet. From behind, a snake capitalized on a moment of Vant's unsure footing. A water stream cut into his shoulder, sending him into a roll down a flight of stairs. He allowed his body to go limp to lessen the damage. At the base of the steps, he righted himself and forced his body to push on, avoiding more Hydra's projectiles. Nearing the entryway portal, Vant pulled the pin from a grenade and tossed it. A fiery explosion knocked the divider off its hinges. He pushed the gauntlet forward and plowed fist first into the barricade, collapsing it into the atrium. A second well-placed grenade blasted the front door open, letting in the sunlight and a schizophrenic lunatic.
You asked me to come, so I came. Happy to do so. I mean, after all, we're all consenting adults.
W, look at me. I need you to use your magic.
They say all life is magic. I say the people who say that should be flayed.
Okay, you're not hearing me. Everyone is going to die.
Well, then they should have eaten more carrots.
Vant brought the world's worst magician in close and looked deep into his eyes.
Okay, all right, listen. You gotta hear me. I'm gonna take you to the fortress. You and your friends are gonna be killed unless you do your magic, all right? 1,000 lives are on the line. Do you understand me?
When I kill hundreds of men and you only kill 12, what the hell am I paying you for? I mean, seriously!
He whistled a sarcastic tune and sauntered into the sanctuary. The floating immortals pivoted to look at their new guest. The snake-like hoses aimed in his direction. Vant recoiled, tensed, and mentally prepared to be shredded.
I didn't want to say anything.
The world's worst magician spoke to the goggled-eyed goblins.
But when I'm fully erect and you just stand there watching, well, you're sort of acting like a bunch of pervs.
They remained fixated on him. He walked, pausing at a particularly decrepit immortal.
You've probably heard this before. I mean, I know I sure have. But your ding-dong shows through those invisible clothes.
The immortal overlord spoke.
This ends now. You shall not take what is rightfully mine. These bodies belong to me. They are mine to do with as I wish.
The magician perked up at the voice.
You cannot win, voice in my head. If you slay me, I will become more powerful than you can possibly comprehend. Even if you can comprehend a lot. Because you are on the evil team. The Skins.
I shall enjoy slicing you up,
the overlord said.
Froggy.
The magician quipped back. The room shook. Vant felt his legs drop out. A massive creak coursed through the environment, as if it were bending. The rubbery snakes spat spears of water. Vant flinched, protecting himself. But none of the shots came anywhere near him or the magician. Vant took in the spectacle. Liquid from the nozzles crisscrossed mid-air, making a spectacular pattern. The world's worst magician churned his hands, digging into the ether. Spirals of particles materialized, along with wisps of emerald smoke. An immortal ruptured in the pipeline. 2 more, then 10 more. They burst into puffs of bloody mist, then dispersed. Vant watched through Death's mask as their pulsating silhouettes evaporated one by one. Luminous smoke poured out of the magician's hands and flowed through the waterways. As if he were a musical conductor, the mists followed his movements. When their trails passed over a crumbling immortal, additional smoke appeared, magnifying the reaction and disintegrating the decrepit being in the process. The liquid bubbled with vigorous force. Currents whipped through the tunnels. A new sound arose, a slow, moaning wail. The sound did not originate from the immortals. It came from the structure. It was destabilizing. The disruption of the water inside the glass pipes was causing the anchoring braces to buckle.
W, you're destroying the building, which may end up killing all of us. Kind of defeats the purpose.
Sometimes pixie dust can be confused for juju balls, okay?
He closed his eyes and fell into a trance, magnifying the reaction even more. A jagged crack appeared in the glass. Then another. Then another.
Not good. Skii!
He shouted into his communicator, sprinting back toward the armory.
How's the rescue going?
Total disaster. We've got most of them unplugged, but they can barely move. There's no way of getting them out.
Her tone shifted suddenly.
Vant?
What?
Perhaps you'd like to tell me why the roof is leaking?
Vant looked back at the magician. One of the glass pipelines had sprung a leak and was dumping hundreds of gallons of water per second onto the floor.
The place is gonna flood. You gotta get everybody out.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'll just put 1,000 people on my back and carry them out.
All right, I get a better idea. Well, maybe it's worse. I'm actually not quite sure.
I'm all ears.
Flip the switch, throw it in reverse, toss him into the vacuum.
He was referring to the hose that had sucked the people out of Land Escape.
I'm thinking, yep, got it, terrible idea. We have no clue where the other one leads.
So jump in and find out.
Nuts to that!
Skii's voice was drowned out by bedlam as Vant re-entered the foundry. It was pure anarchy. Vant's army was in shambles. The peacekeepers, some with handfuls of thallium soldiers clinging to them, blind fired at anything that moved. There were more dead nomads than live ones. The Land Escapers hid behind the walking turrets, which were sputtering with a lack of ammunition. The floor contained a mixture of shrapnel, flesh, and corpses. Yet the creation of the new soldiers had ceased. The damage being caused by the world's worst magician was putting a massive kink in their system. The immortal grubs he was dispatching were stemming the flow of new thallium soldiers. Vant experienced a warm, gooey sensation in his stomach. Joy. The tables had turned.
They're shut down at the source.
Vant shouted to his troops.
We've got this. We've got this!
A boost of morale filled the room. Bullets instantly seemed more lethal. Punches more accurate. The nomads, peacekeepers, and Land Escapers had been running on fumes, but their fire was now rekindled. Back into his wrist.
Skii, we have no choice. You gotta jump in the vacuum and find out where it leads. Or throw Sami Fromm in there.
Hey, not a lot of takers for a suicide mission. Hey, how about you, Vant? You want in on this?
I'll go.
A voice came from behind. Vant turned to see Shavius, bloody, sweaty, and smiling with the half of his face that could.
You're a brave man.
Shavius blinked at him a few times, before Vant realized he was winking.
Skii, you got a hero incoming. Give him a wrist comm, toss him into the sucker.
On it. And you?
One more loose end to tie up.
Which is?
I gotta pop a zit.
Vant rushed toward the cargo door leading to the habitat of the immortal elders. A soldier got in his way. Vant decked him so hard the helmet ripped off. 3 more lunged for his feet. He leapt. They collapsed in a heap, and he smashed their torsos until they leaked. The door was getting close. 2 soldiers were holding Lyra at point-blank range with batons aimed at her head. Vant whipped her foot and pulled her to safety as they fired their weapons. He darted across an open area and came upon 20 soldiers on top of a fallen peacekeeper. They stared at Vant. Vant stared at them. Then he whipped the peacekeeper around the wrist and shot lightning through his lashes. The destroyed biped flared up into a cacophony of bolts as electricity flowed through the metal frame and into the soldiers, frying them. The coast was clear. Almost there. The floor wobbled beneath Vant's feet. A rhythmic tremor shook the environment. Then another, and another. Vant knew what was coming. The semblance of a wall separating the armory from the foundry was decimated by the Thallium Titan, the gargantuan overseer of the army, the one who had single-handedly breached Land Escape's gates, crushed mechanical equipment and armor casings as it ran into the fray. 2 peacekeepers assaulted the giant with their Gatling guns, but it crossed to them in one massive stride, swung its hammer hands, and flattened them into piles of scrap. The remaining human resistance scattered. The Titan stared at Vant. It rammed its hammers together in an impatient taunt. Vant sighed, stretched, and returned the sentiment by knocking his own iron fist together as well. And then he charged. The Titan pounded the ground. Vant dove away from the collision, somersaulted back to his feet, and struck its shin with an electrified whip. Sparks bounced off the surface. The armor was far too thick to conduct electricity into the liquid within. A club hand arced overhead and collided with the floor mere feet from Vant. The impact sent him into a roll. He righted himself, whipped the arm of the giant, and propelled himself onto its shoulder. Before it could react, Vant flung another whip. It twisted around the neck of the Titan. He swung behind its back, around its midsection, and onto its foot. In a confused rage, it swung downward. Vant vaulted off at the perfect time. The Titan's hammer connected with its own foot. The force of the blow severely dented the thallium appendage. It stumbled forward, landing on one knee. Vant ran underneath the giant's midsection. He latched a whip onto a crease in the armor and pulled himself upward, dangling beneath its crotch. He stabilized himself by pulling the tension on the whip, then drew back his fist as the giant flailed and twisted, searching for him.
In a little guy, big guy fight,
Vant thought.
the little guy gets to smash the big guy in the dick.
Vant repeatedly pummeled the Titan's underside. The barrage of punches chipped away at its thallium. Particles splintered, and a dent formed. The tiniest crack appeared, and a few dots of water dripped from the blemish. The Titan struggled to stand. Vant held tight, dealing blow after blow. The gargantuan foe bucked like a wild animal. Vant's whip lost its hold. He thudded to the ground. The Titan raised a hand, preparing to squash the tiny nuisance giving it so much trouble. Vant, on his back, pointed a gauntlet upward and flipped the function switches inside. With an ascending sound, the power cells charged to capacity. Vant held his breath to steady his arm. He took careful aim. The Titan began its downswing. Vant activated the thruster and released his grip. The iron fist rocketed out of his hand and smashed into the giant in the exact spot where the crack had formed. The collision with the weakened area caused the seam to split open. A stream of liquid flowed from the giant's groin. Vant pulled the whip. The slack recoiled, and the gauntlet zipped back to his hand.
Get clear,
said a peacekeeper. Vant darted away from the damaged Titan.
Fire!
Gunfire erupted from the weapons of the remaining infantry. The peacekeepers rattled off shot after shot. They concentrated their attack on the hole, which widened with every hit. The gap became the size of a boulder, and the giant lost all internal stability from the decrease in water pressure. It staggered back and forth, then collapsed. Vant's army roared with victorious cheers as the fleshy, immortal pilots poured out of the hole, twitched, and then died on the floor. Vant made it to the cargo door separating the foundry from the domain of the immortal overlord. He holstered his gauntlets by whipping around his waist and letting them dangle at his sides. He jammed the buttons on the door's control panel, but it was on lockdown. A knife flew over his shoulder and stuck into the manual override. Vant looked at Widow with confusion.
Oh shit! Thought you trying to lock it, not open it.
Vant pocketed the knife and shouted,
I need a hand!
To the two remaining peacekeepers. They lifted the door, breaking the deadbolts in the process. Vant ducked inside. The door slammed shut behind him. He walked past the glassy gazes of the immortal elders in their aquarium and approached the floating head in its containment pod. It stared at Vant with its revolting, frozen grimace.
You know the funny thing about a fortress? With a few modifications, it easily becomes a tomb.
You will suffer for resisting the will of your immortal overlord.
You are not immortal, so let's just cut that out right now.
I have lived for ages, and I will continue to do so.
See, that's the thing. Just because you haven't died yet, that doesn't mean you're immortal. It just means you're old as fuck.
I am immortal!
No, you're not. Hop out of that tube. I'll bet you my right nut that if you did, you'd die in the spot. And here's another idea. Let me reach into your tank and squish you between my thumb and my forefinger. I'd wager you'd pop like a cherry and that would be the end of you.
How dare you!
How dare you! You call yourself immortal? You're not immortal. You're a vile little turd who found himself a bat to keep warm in for a few eons. Immortality means you cannot die. But I'm watching you expire right here, right now as we speak. And mark my words, when you're nothing more than a pebble of shit in a water tank, I'll still be alive, cruising along.
The Overlord was making a strange noise, either stammering or growling.
You're like everybody else. You're temporary. You're mortal.
Vant tapped on the glass with Widow's knife. The head flinched.
Huh, little fishy? All you've done is found a way to hack life and bend it to your will. You're cheating the system. You're sidestepping the Grim Reaper. But you can only dodge him for so long.
The tiny head bobbed in the water in protest.
What gives you the right to destroy my way of life?
Orders from the top. You've overstayed your welcome, and you gotta go.
How was this decision reached? I bring peace to my inhabitants. I strip away all that is unnecessary. I grant lifetimes upon lifetimes to my loyal subjects, and soon I will extend that blessing to the entire planet.
Here's a word of advice, Short Stack. If you have to force people into your way of life because nobody's into it, then your way of life chugs wang.
So this is a cleansing based upon judgment? I am evil and you represent the good?
No, let's get this straight. I'm not the good guy. I'm the bad guy. But you're the worst guy.
Vance sliced a gash into his own shoulder with Widow's knife. He let out a shrill cry as he shoved his hand into the wound, dug through the tissue, and located the implanted bomb. He ripped it out. He pressed a button on the detonator.
Have a nice afterlife.
He tossed the explosive at the immortal overlord. The hoses behind the pod detached and swatted away the bomb. They twisted like enraged serpents, and their nozzles hissed steam. They fired blasts of liquid at the explosion, reducing the fire to vapor. Before Vant could react, a hose shot out and wrapped around his neck.
Insolent pest!
Vant was lifted off his feet and pulled to the pod's glass, forcing him eye level with the Overlord's grimace.
I no longer wish to study you. I wish to destroy you. The satisfaction gained by flushing you into the ocean will last me a millennium.
2 hoses fired pressurized acid near Vant's legs.
But first, I need to know if there will be more of you coming to my door. You reveal your identity to me and be spared dismemberment.
The streams inched closer. Closer. Vant pushed his hands into the gauntlets by his side, activated them, and batted the coils around his neck. The struggle was pointless. They were far too thick, and the rubber was far too malleable. His weapons had a flaw. There was nothing sharp to cut with. Vant's eyes rolled into the back of his head as the staples sealing his neck wound began to break apart from the tension.
Tell me now, who sent you?
The slack loosened so Vant could speak.
Death. Your reckless tongue damns you. Your failure to cooperate has cost you a leg.
The beams of acid sizzled through Vant's thigh. His leg dropped to the floor and landed with a chunky plop. His screams filled the sanctuary.
I shall ask again. Tell the truth and keep your other leg. Who sent you? Death. 2 limbs for 2 lies.
The Overlord sliced. Clotted blood emptied from Vant's new stump as the other leg dropped to the floor.
Next, I shall show you what it feels like to lose your manhood.
A hose aimed below Vant's waist.
Speak of who sent you. This is your last chance to utter words that are not preposterous.
Vant stifled his agony, composed himself, cleared his throat, and said,
Life's a bitch, but death is worse.
He whipped the metal nozzles and blasted lightning into them. The electrical current traveled through the liquid inside the hoses and into the Overlord's pod. It became a sizzling cesspool of sparks and shocks. The tiny head twitched. Then it squirted fragments of meat from its ears, along with an oily bile. Vant kept his grip firm and poured even more voltage into the water. The Overlord's skull collapsed on itself. There was a gentle, bloody poof, and all leftover remains dispersed into the liquid. The electrical current flowed from the Overlord's pod into the aquarium of immortal elders. The smallest of them simply evaporated, while the larger ones cooked until they burst. When all were dispatched, Vant deactivated the electricity. The water became calm again, with nothing more than small bubbles and stray tissue floating by. The hoses depressurized and dropped Vant. He landed on his amputated stumps and crumpled into a heap. Shock took over. His body pumped numbing agents into his bloodstream. He fought against stasis when reality hit. A battle was still carrying on, and a rescue mission was still in progress. The immortal soldiers, as the Overlord had explained, retained a portion of autonomy and were most likely still fighting back. He pressed his comm to his lips.
Skii?
Nothing.
Any peacekeepers, come in. Tarantula. Sami.
All silent. Vance surveyed his ravaged body. His flesh sizzled from acidy wounds on his side and shoulder. His legs leaked globs of meat. His neck was a mixture of bent hooks, blood, and pus. His shoulder was torn open. His insides were soft. He was most likely bleeding internally. Consciousness was slipping away. Each blink was longer than the last. Then, a voice on the comm.
Oh there, Van Hugh!
Sami! Oh, what's going on out there?
The vacuum leads to safety. We got the prisoners out, but the enemy is still fighting back. We're barely holding on. There's only a few of us left. Wait, what is that? What the hell is that?
Silence.
Sami! Sami! Keep moving.
Vant urged himself. He scooped up his floppy legs and dropped them into his satchel, along with his gauntlets. He gripped the grated floor and pulled himself across the room by wriggling his torso. He moved through the glass passageway and up to the sealed cargo door. There was no way to open it. He flattened his hand against the barrier. It was cold and unyielding. But then, the door slid upward. Water flooded in and rushed over Vant. He coughed from the face full of liquid, trying to keep his head above water. A razor-sharp sword appeared. It pressed against his throat. Vant looked up past two inverted legs and a stick-thin body. Two red eyes above a metal jawline stared back.
Oh, wow, that is great. Oh, of course you're here. You psychotic can opener.
Redemption studied Vant's mangled body.
You know what? I beat you in Crash Town, and now you come back to finish the you finished the job, so why don't you just get to it, huh? Why don't you just get to it? I don't give a shit. Go ahead, kill me now when I'm unarmed, I'm bloody, and I'm missing my goddamn legs.
The cyborg only stared back, its hunchback rising and falling with each breath.
Oh, just do it. Fuck me. Do what you came here for.
The sword swished. A Thalium soldier collapsed, cut in half. Redemption launched backward and landed between a pack of soldiers. Its blade flashed through their armor. Torsos slid from waistlines, then helmets from necklines. The foes fell into the knee-high water. The cyborg retracted its sword, scooped Vant onto its back, and rushed him through the flooding foundry. It leapt over armor fragments, avoided dead bodies, and skirted falling obstacles. Vant heard a cough, almost imperceptible among the noise. Within a mess of debris, an arm rose up.
Wait!
The cyborg about-faced and dashed in the direction of the drowning victim. Vant clasped his hand around Rantula's forearm and pulled him from the wreckage.
I got him! I got him, go!
Redemption sprinted with the two wounded men on its back, searching for an escape route. The doors were blocked. Glass fell from the shattered pipeline. There was only one way to go. Down. They dove into the whirlpool swirling above the hole to the catacombs. Redemption propelled them deeper into the icy waters.
Fuck, I hate suffocating.
Vant thought, as he felt the familiar heart palpitations from the initial stages of drowning. They caught a current. It pushed them toward the vacuum at the other end of the catacombs. Their momentum increased. The suction pulled them into the tube. They twisted and turned, whacking the walls but never slowing down. Redemption went limp, allowing the currents to take over. Vant did the same. They hit perilous speeds. Vant's lungs begged for air. Rantula convulsed under his arms.
Just hold on.
Vant wheeled to him. Finally, the three launched out of the hose and touched down onto a soft, sandy beach. Rantula was not breathing. Vant pushed him onto his back and pounded on his chest, again and again. After a good hard thump, the Nomad Chief hacked up the water trapped in his lungs and rediscovered his breath. Vant rolled over, turning to Redemption.
Wait a minute, just how? How did you find me?
The cyborg activated the holographic display.
I told you to watch your back.
Wow, you sneaky bastard. The Overlord said I had a biotracker in me. You implanted it when you stabbed me and crashed down, didn't you?
Redemption answered with an inclination of his head. Vant peeled off Death's mask. He shut his eyelids. Wet hair in the warm sand. A cool sea breeze. The whisper of the ocean. The immortals were destroyed. The hostages had been freed.
Hell yeah,
he said to himself. Then, he passed out.
Pops!
The nap had lasted 19 seconds.
Holy skizbutts, we did it! I can't believe we made it out alive. Whoa, whoa. Oh, nasty. Where are your legs? Oh, man, I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, way to kick a man while he's down,
Vance said. His eyes were still half closed. Skii looked at Redemption, piecing together that it was responsible for Vance's rescue.
Thanks,
she said. The cyborg stared back through infrared optics. The eyes beamed.
Reckless. I thought I told you to stay alive.
You said live. Living isn't the same thing as staying alive.
Its metal jawline seemed to twitch, and it gave a look resembling a scowl. Then,
I have a message from your father.
Not interested. If he has something to say, he can say it to me himself. I'm tired of chasing him. Maybe he should chase me for a change.
Skii turned her back on Redemption and added,
I'm right here. I'm only hard to find if I want to be.
In response, the enigmatic figure absconded from the beach. It vanished in moments from the powerful strides of its mechanical legs. Skii dropped to her knees next to Vant. She put her hand on his heart.
Strong thing, huh?
Vant felt it beating, though slowly.
Yeah, I guess so. Doesn't know when to quit.
She pulled the wet strands of hair off his forehead and out of his eyes. Vant reflected on their first meeting. He had been bald then. Now he was shaggy. She stroked his hair. Vant noted how long it had been since he had been touched by anything that was not blunt or sharp and traveling at high velocities. It felt good. Familiar. It was something Ree used to do to him. His mind went to the victims of the abduction.
Hostages, are they?
They're safe. Most of them. We couldn't save the ones in the grinder. The water flooded the basement and...
They're resting now. Yeah, we did all we could.
They must have drowned. Is that a good way to go? Did they go peacefully?
Yeah, Skii, that's the best way to go.
He lied to her.
You don't feel a thing.
Vance's eyelids became impossibly heavy. He could not convince them otherwise. They were insistent on calling it a day. He was tired of fighting. He had done enough for a lifetime, for several lifetimes. So he let them win.